Hi, everybody. My name is Lindsay, and I'm a Bravoholic.
You're preaching to the choir. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Honey, you have to stop saying that.
Bravoholics Anonymous.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Bravoholics Anonymous, your weekly support group for all things reality TV chaos. This is a safe space for Bravo addicts and pop culture obsessives to come to break down the drama one meltdown at a time. And what a show to talk about drama and meltdowns. Because back on the air, we've got season 3 of The Valley, and I have one of my favorite Angelinos, one of my favorite Vanderpump podcasters on to talk about this show with me. Welcome back, Vanderpump Rob, everybody. Rob Schulte, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. Happy to be here. Yeah, The Valley's back. General thought, Lindsay, like, how do you feel about like The Valley as a whole, as a show?
You did allude to being a little pessimistic about enjoying the show when I reached out to say, be like, hey, let's talk about it.
I'm covering it. I'm covering it.
Okay,
Don't
good,
worry.
good.
So, like,
yeah, I know.
There.
I when it comes to The Valley, for me, I think it is going to end up being one of those shows we look back on in reality TV, and we see that it is like a foundational milestone show for talking about real issues people are having on this like reality TV lens of phonyism. It's like it's got this beautiful like filter on it that is like added enhancement of these people are also desperate to stay and be on TV. But I think there's
now if they would actually have those conversations, that would be great.
I think we're gonna get there. I'm optimistic. I'm hoping the season will get there, and if not, then the audience will pressure the conversations of the reunion to go in a certain direction. We'll see. But
I mean, we finally started getting like substance abuse and suicide warnings on TV shows. Like, it took what, 13 seasons of Vanderpump Rules, 12 seasons?
Yeah, we've come a long way. I mean, the thing is that even if the cast members aren't going to address things directly and talk about them, the Bravoholics and like the audience is doing it online. And so I still see a positive benefit for it. Like I still think putting them on display and showing them at their worst, Luke, at your worst, is like really valuable for women culture.
Kristen, the doctor said we could have sex. Why aren't you having sex with me?
What therapist does Kristen have that's saying it's only 15 minutes? I don't know one therapist that would say that. And I'm like, is this Jesse's life coach? Is it Luke on the other end of the phone pretending to be the therapist? Like, what? Who is it?
Yeah, so first of all, the thing Luke is alluding to is the fact that, like, sure, maybe anatomically they are able to have sex again. Kristen's therapist saying, give it a shot, it's only 15. This feels like maybe Kristen is repeating something out of context from a therapy session. But back to what you were saying about the bigger picture of the topics being broached on the show to make a bigger conversation online. Like, I think that the powers that be on these shows know that, but are failing up in a way where the conversations that we see online are rarely helpful, but we as like somewhat sane creators, because there are a lot of insane content creators, have to like bring a machete to the jungle to like clear the path of like, whoa, where are the healthy conversations about this? Because as we see with like the Summer House discourse right now, like, yeah, it sucks that Amanda and West are going through something, and that there are societal elements to this that are more than just Sierra being embarrassed, but to like treat a reality star, and this goes to The Valley too, especially with like Brittany or anyone like that, with kid gloves as if they are not capable of their own faculties is bad too, because then we're coddling someone we have no direct relationship to, and it makes for an unfair discussion, I would say, especially when those people are maybe not giving us the whole truth and have opted into being on reality
That's a
TV.
really good point. I literally posted a video this morning and it was a little baity, but I said that I love Amanda and West. And the point of that was to say that America, as fans, we love to put the people that we're watching on TV on a pedestal and treat them like they're role models and they have a platform. A lot of people use this term, we shouldn't be giving them a platform. Nobody's watching Summer House and thinking West should run for office. Oh wait, Luke is doing that. But you know what I'm saying?
And also, no one's thinking Luke should run for office,
but you know what?
except for
But you know
Luke.
what I'm saying? And I guess in Trump's America, it feels scarier because you're like, well, damn, maybe it could happen. But the point is that I don't want I want my reality stars to cheat and hook up with each other. Like, sorry. That's like this is what reality TV's always been about. Like, look at the real world. If you're not going to get schmasted and physically fight your roommate, you know, we are gonna deal with something difficult. There has to be a plot. There has to be tension, and
if we made it the early 2000s reality TV, I think we'll make it through. Oh no, someone cheated.
I know, or someone had a relationship after one ended, but they're in the same social group.
Well,
like it's cheerleading. It's Amanda and West are the cheerleader and the guy on the football team, and everyone knows that those people in high school just intertwined with each other the whole 4 years. The whole 4 years, they're intermixing and dating each other and hooking up with each other at different parties. And Sierra's one of those people too.
Yeah. Well, and I know we're here to talk about the Valley, but this stuff is just so weird to me. How do you follow Tell the Bees on TikTok, Josh Laura? And he has a whole series of like American cheating.
Oh no.
And like a discourse about it, and he talks through reality TV and has done it through Vanderpump Rules and now West and Amanda. But he's mainly like a book talk guy. But this has now also spun into Southern Hospitality, where Lake is body shaming Mia for going on a date with Justin because Justin's in a situationship with Jordan, who's had a grand total of 3 minutes of screen time. You don't get to opt into, this is kind of what Josh says, like, you don't get to opt into a situationship and then get mad when you find out it's a situationship.
That's a good point.
And other people don't get to like control that narrative, because it then weaponizes these terms like girl's girl, which I understand coming from me might come with the biggest eye roll from the audience. But that does put up weird barriers that are disingenuous. And I think overall we see that on the Valley, just to bring it back to the Valley, like this level of sides choosing and moral superiority paired with this, we're adults now and these are things adults do, which this season in particular of the Valley, actually every single season of the Valley, I think all of it can point directly at their showrunner producer Jerry, who used to be on Vanderpump Rules and got his start in Cupcake Wars, and I think all he knows is Cupcake Wars style television.
Wow. Well, that was a great point that you made. Let's talk about Girls Girl, and let's transition and talk about one of the first people to be accused of not being a girl's girl. Lala Kent is back on the Valley this season. And how do you feel about it, Rob?
I think Lala, I've evolved my Lala thoughts over the years, which we should be allowed to do. And Are you familiar with Tom Sharpling in The Best Show?
No.
Doesn't matter. Look it up. Not, I mean, you don't have to
Looking
look it
it
up
up.
now. But if anyone's unfamiliar, he's had a show for 20 years and has recently gotten into Vanderpump Rules and talks about it on The Best Show a lot. And he came on Vanderpump Rob's, and I was surprised to hear his thoughts on Lala, because usually you turn on anything and everyone hates Lala.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, she's she's a weirdo. They all are, but she's fun to watch. And I was like, oh yeah. Sometimes people can just be fun to watch and I can still not like them. And I think going into Lala being on this season of The Valley, she's out of place, but I think she also knows that she's there to do business, and she's such a producer plant that it might actually shake things up to have some fun on this show, as opposed to Schwartz, who is also a producer plant and will do whatever producer Jerry asks him to do, but does it in this timid, weird, not really that exciting way.
Yeah, I feel like knowing that Lala, I think Lala's biggest deficit in reality TV, watching her for years at this point, consuming her podcast, like I've gotten a fair taste of Lala over the years.
You've been given Lala?
I've been given Lala. And the thing about her is she only gets dangerous of hurting the show and the storyline and whatever when she gets too confident. I think it's nice to see her come into this show and be off kilter and not know who to align herself with and not know the dynamics, because they're really multifaceted. And I also think that she might need to step into the villain seat if people keep refusing to do scenes with Janet. If Janet can't get people on her side, all she's going to have is Brittany that's willing to do, because Michelle's not going to give
and
her
that
a
is
scene.
not someone you want on your side.
Michelle's not going to be able to have a conversation for a full scene with Janet. It's just not going to happen. And it's not going to make Janet look more likable, because Janet's going to steamroll Michelle. So the only person she can really have a conversation with and look kind of sympathetic is Brittany, because she was there to help Brittany with the Jax stuff. That's like that's her little like security blanket. If Brittany's there, Janet still has like a note of being a good person, because her and Jason were there to help Brittany in that really abusive relationship. So, but if nobody else, if Nia, who the audience loves, and Kristen Doute don't want to do scenes with Janet and boo and scream at her when she shows up to a party, like Janet's not going to get to stay on the show much longer. It's just not going to work.
Yeah. She had a big part in episode 1. But regardless, she ain't getting a lot of screen time.
Right.
And Jason's getting worse or less. And I'm going to be honest with you, just for funsies, I was rooting for Janet going into season 3.
You were.
I was like, they can only let someone be a villain for so long before they start their, hero's journey again and their redemption arc. And it just seems like a lot of stuff on the Valley, like so much happens when they're not filming that I wonder why it's even worth it to bring up. I mean, of course, we have to give context, but you're right. I think I'm so.
I feel like this group moves so fast. I feel like they move so fast. And who they're angry at is so fast, because they're all really embracing this experience and being on this show. These people are in their 30s and 40s. Like, it's not like a 20-year-old committing to something like a lake and not understanding what they're really getting into. These people like fought for this show to get made and really wanted to be a part of this show. So they're willing to do it and they're willing to fully commit. But I think it's almost like if you step into Big Brother and you're playing too hard the first 2 weeks. Like, I feel like the show's tempo is like that. And I can imagine it's hard for the producers to put the story together because cameras can't run year round and just can't be following them all the time.
And the people like Kristen and Janet and Brittany, for a lesser extent, I think Brittany's kind of stupid, so maybe not as thoughtful here. They are definitely not going to get something that they don't want on camera. They are too in their own heads about it. And that, I think, is why this show is unique, because we are seeing seasoned professionals on here, or people who have been next to seasoned professionals, and what that means when you're making a reality show. But to go back to Nia and Danny, why do people love them, do you think? I can't fathom it, because I think Nia means well, but is ultimately, both of them are too Christian for their own good. Like, and that is just seething through.
I think that's very relatable, though, for the American audience. I think there is.
Well, you're probably
there
right.
is. Okay, so here are the things I think. One, they're attractive. I think the fact that Nia is stunning, and she's a conservative dresser. Like, her shoulders might be out, but she's in a long summer dress. She's always beautiful, conservatively dressed. And like the quintessentially perfect mother. Every time tension comes up on the show, Nia has to go feed her baby. She has to go see her baby or feed her baby. And so I think that psychologically does seep into the subconscious of women watching the show who have had to raise their children. And because we're at a point now in, like, I'd say, like, I love to talk about the women's liberation movement. And I think I've said this before, but I think I was born in 88, the year that women could start a business, because, like, my soul wanted to be on earth for this, like, progression of women's history. And so I think that we're at a point now.
88. Jesus.
I know,
Christ.
right? Where we're talking about how everybody on this show is like are raising the kid. Like, how dare Luke be asking for sex? Kristen's trying to raise this newborn baby. Like, it's all a conversation about the stress that's put on mothers. That's a big, like, subtext of the tone of the season and where it looks like it's going. So Nia having the most children, still upholding herself gracefully and being beautiful, and, like, having to put up with this monkey of a husband. Like, Danny, as much as Danny's offensive and does horrible things, he's playful sometimes on camera, and I think a lot of women can relate to having, like, a playful husband. Like, he has good intentions. He might not be there for me constantly, but his intentions are good. I just think it's a really easy to be sympathetic to them based on the edit we're seeing, because there's so many things about them that people want to see in their own relationship, you know? Like, no relationship's perfect, but, you know.
And I mean, aside from season 2 Jax, like, mostly everyone hated Jax because they dated a Jax or had a situationship with a Jax, until it became this escalated, horrible
until he
thing.
became, like, a potential murderer.
Yes. So I think that's right. And I think that's probably the biggest part about the Valley, is that the audience watching the Valley is the age of the Valley.
Yes.
For the most part. And you know, I could nitpick Nia and Danny, but you make a very good point. And one of my friends pointed out something. She hosts a podcast called Who TF Knows with Emily Rose. Did you see the voice message thing from Nia that was dropped? Where someone had posted that, like, I just got a voice memo note from Nia because I posted something about Janet calling her MAGA. And it was very odd because
she was rambling.
Nia's voice message, like, why is Nia sending someone a voice message?
Because she doesn't want the texts. She doesn't want the receipts. You can save a voice message.
But then Nia posts it too. Herself.
So she wanted to get ahead of it. She's just overthinking it. I think her and Danny, being industry people, are just overthinking things constantly.
Well, one quick thing I want to point out, though, about this voice note is that she said she never aligned with the MAGA movement. And this is where Emily had come in here. And that she would never be on the side of the MAGA movement, and that it's reprehensible and all of that. The thing she doesn't point out is who she voted for.
Oh.
Like, I'm still a Republican and will vote Republican, but I'm not MAGA. And I think that is a very good point.
If that comes out this season, I would love it. I'm like literally drooling just thinking about the Michelle and Nia and Danny
Yeah.
and Jesse, like Republican voters versus and what that would do to the friendships too, and how that would tear. Like Janet, do it, Janet. Janet, if you're listening to this, do it.
And what my co-host Kate pointed out, she's like, yeah, but Janet is definitely the sort of like Twitter liberal that would weaponize MAGA to go against someone like Nia.
Hell yeah.
So it's a great TV, you know?
It would be so good. Like, cause I've had guests on my show who reference other reality stars voting, like Craig Conover. And you should see them come out of the woodworks and comment on like the promo material for the podcast where they're like defending like what is who he votes for matter? I'm like, excuse me, he has a female-centered business.
Well, I know who you voted for.
Yeah. Yeah, what? Like but when let's talk about Janet and Nia here. I understand why Nia and Danny draw such a firm line of wanting to do scenes with Janet and Jason. They do not like the risk that they brought up on the show of Danny looking like an alcoholic groper, and how much they made that a storyline, obviously I think it was like two motives. I think one, Janet loved the idea of being in the mix of the core drama of the season. I thought she was being a good reality star. But two, I'm sure she was like, I'm helping Brittany because I'm deterring from the Jax conversation a little bit that extreme season. And now we're also talking about Danny's behavior. And Danny has exhibited
Jax
poor behavior.
Isn't the only dangerous
man. So I get it. But I also understand where like Danny and Nia are like deer in headlights and so fearful of their image being besmirched on TV, as if they don't expect it to happen. You can't be on reality TV and keep being clean. I'm still excited to see how they make Jennifer Tilly look messy, and she might just stay friend of on Beverly Hills because if she becomes a real cast member, they're coming for you, Tilly. Like, you can't stay clean.
Yeah,
there's no way.
There's no cleanliness in this world of reality TV. And I think you're right. I'm just so disappointed in so much of this. Season 1, Kristen's on the outs, so we don't get any good Kristen moments, really. Season 2, we had this like incredible opportunity to break the fourth wall, not have Jax do these cell phone videos, but to just have a more serious conversation and bring production in, because they're like shouting to producers on the side.
It would have been so good to listen to production talk about what it's like.
I know. And then season 3, where, Janet's on the outs and we get Lala and Schwartz, and it just doesn't, you were totally right at the beginning that we're going to look back on this and see like this very unique era of Bravo. But it feels so forced right now. Mm-hmm. And it is like, well, we're talking about the topics, but we're not talking through the details of the topics. We're not having the conversations, Rob, but we're saying
this
words.
Isn't that HBO show with that amazing couples therapist that we all love? What's her name? These people, when I talked, so earlier when you were like, what do you think about the Valley? And I was like, I talked about this reality show lens, and I went like this with my hands, and I was like, this reality show lens. Mm-hmm. The reality show lens here is that these are people that are chasing fame, that do not want to take accountability. I saw a video of Jax from 3 weeks ago. He did a cameo 3 weeks ago to some guy. His blood pressures never looked worse. The guy was beet red. Ooh. His face was thicker than I've ever seen. If I had to guess, he's on steroids, coke, drinking, he's doing it all. And he was like giving relationship advice on this cameo, and he looked brutal. It was bad. And I have a prediction.
Go for it. I want to hear it.
Jax can sit out this season. He can tell himself he's developing a new reality show, or whatever the lie is that he's telling himself he's doing right now. He's making business. But you and I know by next season, by season 4,
he's back.
He's not going to be able to sit out. And he might not be back, but he is going to be more dangerous than ever. I think he's going to be showing up places, trying to get on camera, banging on windows. I can see him, hiding in a car with takeout, Like, I think he's going to go
Yeah.
full
Yep.
deranged because that he is not healed at all. He looked terrible.
Have you seen the blind item? I don't even know if it's a blind item. Yeah, I haven't seen an official post about this, but that West Wilson will be heading off to the Ozarks for like a summer house
Yes.
Ozark
Yes, I did.
show. I called that on the podcast. So if that becomes real, that is totally my idea. They have taken from me.
Bravoholics put it in the books. It was Rob's.
Yes. And Kate proposed an idea that Jax, Sandoval, and Schwartz need to move to Florida and have a divorced dad's.
Oh my God. Sandoval would
show.
never. Sandoval would never.
I
He would
know,
never.
wouldn't it-
He
He would if they convince him it would be his show. And it would be following him. And then they'd start doing it and you'd find out it's
Here's
not
the
his show.
thing, okay? Out of all of those three idiots, Tom Sandoval does, and I'm going to give him some credit here. Don't kill the messenger. Don't kill me for my opinion. Tom Sandoval does have somewhat of a brain when it comes to the business. Like, he really applies himself, and I just don't think he would ever send himself to Florida unless it was Miami. Maybe you could do the boys in Miami, but I just don't think that they want to
what
be
I'm
attached with Jax ever. And especially now that Schwartz is hanging out so much with Zach, we're coming back to the Valley, you guys. Schwartz is now on this new season, The Valley, and they're saying it's because he's hanging out with Zach all the time. And I do believe they do a little bit, but I do believe they're finding mutual ground in relationship because he wants to come on the show.
They really don't know what to do with Zach or Jasmine.
Which is
honestly.
insane because Zach has so much
Yeah.
potential and he was my favorite last season. And I still think he's going to be my favorite this season. He's the voice of the audience, but he's like gay and abrasive. you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, the voice of the audience.
They don't know what to do with Jasmine. And honestly, Jasmine doesn't know what to do with herself. That her reality TV career history is like speaks for it. It's just But one thing that is consistent about Jasmine is she doesn't like confrontation, but not like Vanita from Southern Charm, where Vanita runs from the confrontation and leaves the party. Jasmine will snap and scream and go crazy. So all you have to do is press Jasmine for confrontation and you can get good stuff out of Jasmine.
That's true. I mean, this latest episode that came out, when she talks about how she wouldn't hang out with Lala if Lala wasn't filming.
Yeah.
And Lala wouldn't hang out with her. I mean, like, yeah, that's true. That's
It's
just
so
true. because
true.
Lala wouldn't hang out with Lala goes on social media and talks about never leaving her house. She talks about that on her
And then she
podcast, right?
also
She only goes
what
out
drove me
for work.
crazy about that conversation, by the way, was that Lala said this thing, and I've seen more people, like more younger people, using this excuse for things, where Lala was like, I have a hard time connecting with people and leaving my house. So like, you should trust me. Like, of course I
Shut
want to
the
be your
fuck
friend.
up.
I have a hard time leaving the house. That doesn't mean anything. Just because you fail to get out and socially interact doesn't mean that Jasmine has to trust your authenticity here. You only did it because the lunch was on camera.
Lala's phone brained, right? She's getting therapy from TikTok. She's not interacting with real people, and she doesn't understand why folks just don't take her serious. It's insane. The wild part about this, it goes back also when we were talking about Southern hospitality. Like, it's so funny that Lala will say stuff like that because it's almost verbatim some things that like Lake has been saying, because like Lake said in a recent episode, my coping mechanism is confiding in my friends. That is so TikTok brain.
Yeah.
That is just like, I mean, I understand wanting to vent to your friend. That's not a coping mechanism. This is insane. These people are just like cherry picking things so that they can get out of situations. And Lala is perfect
I love it.
for that,
I love it.
by the way.
Just more dumb people, please. Like,
Yes,
this is where they belong.
please.
Not in
And
office. They belong on Bravo.
And when we're talking about this online, don't be as stupid as the people making stupid conversations.
Right. It's so, oh my God. I feel like, okay, So speaking of stupid people, and speaking of Lala, and speaking of Tom Schwartz, how do you feel about them bringing back the old Vanderpump cast? Should they just open the floodgate and bring in Tom and his model girlfriend and bring in Sheena Shea and Brock?
If they're still together.
Should we, if they're still together, should we just open the floodgates and let everybody back in? Or do you think we should draw the line? Like, is the line James Kennedy? Like,
I mean, the line's James Kennedy just because we need some accountability.
Right,
here.
yeah.
We need something. But, we had Sheena on a few episodes last season. People weren't ready for Sheena.
You and I love Sheena.
Like, give me a break, folks.
We love Sheena.
Like, we got to have Sheena on this. The fact that Sheena hasn't been on our screens for almost 2 years now.
I'm hoping that Lala's beef with Sheena is slightly strategic and gets Sheena on the show. The fact that Lala keeps going, I'm not talking to Sheena, I hope is like low key, kind of played up.
Do we even know what that beef was? That beef really because Sheena cussed in front of the children?
No, I've heard so many rumors about what the beef is about, and the reason I think it's inflated is because one, Lala and Sheena are at the confidence level where they think they know how to play stuff. Two, if anyone historically is going to have Sheena's back and want Sheena to get on the show, The Valley, I believe it's Lala. They own homes next to each other. They've raised their kids together. And also, they're both the most forgiving people on Vanderpump. Those people just need a coffee scene and an apology, and they will forget you saying the worst things ever heard about their own family. Like, they're bubblegum.
Well, and also if someone goes to Lala and says, The Valley might not get another season unless you have coffee with Sheena, we will have the longest coffee scene you will ever see as soon as humanly possible.
She'll be like, I'll buy the coffee shop and we'll start a podcast and Sheena and I will do a 20-part episode. Yeah. No, I do. I know I'll regret this, but I do want Sheena and Brock. I do want Tom. But I don't want a fake filtered thing. Like, and what I love about Tom Sandoval is that he knows he's making a show and he'll give the scene. He'll do the hard thing. He'll show up to the reunion and look like a total idiot and have everyone scream at him for 3 parts in like 14-hour day for doing this thing. And it just makes it, think about how much we talked about it. Think about how much we talked about Scandival and how great that was for all of us. And look at where Ariana is now. Like, everyone won. We all won.
Are you still this is a very difficult conversation to broach on Bravo.
Oh my God, do it. What?
But are we still at the level where like Ariana has never done and has always been a queen?
I don't think so. I've seen people talking about once everything.
I mean, I know a lot of people like backlashed.
The Golden Nugget stuff came up a lot. People talked a lot about that. But I think she is still exalted. And I don't think I think why people aren't going to come for Ariana, God, sometimes I confuse her and Ariana Grande.
It's both.
Okay.
Well, we learned it's both because her parents said it both.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Tom Schwartz.
Great. Yeah, well, you're right. Me and Tom Schwartz are blabbering on about it. But I feel like the thing about, as a woman, and this is like the only experience I can talk about, I feel like
born in 1988.
Yeah, born in 1988 in Canada. Yes. No, she did this. She had this really relatable thing. She was in this long-term relationship with this man, and it wasn't really headed anywhere because she wasn't crazy about marriage, and now she's talking about marriage with her new boyfriend. So maybe it was just like a sign, but she wasn't. It was like her relationship in her 20s. She got into it and it was messy, and then they kind of like fell out of love and weren't interested in each other anymore, but like had to fake it for all their friends for a long time. And I think in this era of like a 60-something plus divorce rate in America, so many women can relate to like that fizzle of the relationship ending. And if he didn't cheat or get caught cheating, I'm sure she would have had to end it in a couple years because over 80% of these things end by the woman like initiating it. So I just think that there's so much relatableness there that no one's really motivated to go dig and like point fingers at her for not being perfect. I think she looks pretty, like if Danny from the Valley was found going to the bar, cheating and groping or doing something else with someone else, like Nia would have the same thing, if not more, because she's
Absolutely.
got babies. She's got so many
And
babies.
We already know that Danny has done that. So
when Nia stops protecting him and leaves him for something like that, she'll have the same treatment, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. And I think that, look, I don't want to be the guy coming on here saying like Ariana is not as good as, no, I think her glow up has been great. Been loving seeing her on St. Denis Medical. Very fun.
Great.
She deserves everything she's got, because essentially whether or not Tom Sandoval cheated on her, she paid her dues on reality TV and has moved on in a way that is about the only way you can succeed when you choose to move away from reality TV. That being said, going back to my chat with Tom Sharpling, he's only recently watched everything in its entirety, and he pointed out something to me that is so minute, but it you're in the performing arts as well. You probably will get this. When they do the diary reading on Vanderpump Rules, and not just the fact that her diary reading wasn't very funny, and neither was Tom's, and that's not the point. Mm-hmm. When she does the little goofy moonwalk off of the stage, that's a person that isn't funny.
Yeah.
Like that is that is a bit of a try hard attitude that I'm glad we never had to see again on the show. After that.
I think if the opportunity was given and a different cut was given, it could have probably shined a light of someone that's chased fame just as much as Tom, but maybe wanted to play like, cool girl about it, as opposed to, so they didn't come off like a Sheena. But the thing about Tom and Sheena is like they're so honest about what they're pursuing, and they actually try, that when they fuck up, then it's even more impactful, because
we've got so much to point at how horrible they are. But we should go back to the
go back to the Valley, and let's talk about one of our reality TV titans, Kristen Doute. This season, Doute is front and center, having a new baby, first baby with Luke, something she's talked about wanting for the first 2 seasons of The Valley, seeing all of her friends go through pregnancy and having children, feeling left behind, another relatable topic for women, at least in the past, maybe not so much today, modern day women, but Doute, was wanting to have a child, found Luke at a wedding, hooked up with him at the wedding, and they were together ever since. I think it's really interesting that Luke is almost completely abandoned, like this I'm going back to Colorado thing, I'm building festival grounds thing. And it makes me wonder, like, did Luke ever really believe that? Is he just doing, like, because he's like in love with Kristen and wants the family, like he's compromising now and plans to go back? Or is he like embracing the reality TV life? And when I see him do a scene with someone like Jason, and trying to talk sense into Jason, reading between the lines, saying like, listen, no one's doing scenes with you and Janet. If you want to be on the show, you got to make up with Danny. You got to somehow make up with Danny. Like, I think, like, is Luke becoming the producer plant? Does Luke love working on this show? And we'll get into the horniness of it all. But like, just Luke and Kristen going into this season, like, where do you think Luke's motives are? And where do you think Kristen, I feel like, is just trying to survive with this baby?
Yeah, I think this is the first truly difficult thing Kristen's ever had to do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's been able to coast, for all intents and purposes, through Vanderpump Rules. I think she did pretty decently with her money opposed to other people. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think she's had to struggle too hard. We never saw her as a Walmart greeter or anything like that. So now I think this is the, like, life has caught up with her and she is in charge of a human child for the next 18 years. And it's all like crashing down on her now while she's also like, I don't feel sexy. I'm tired. I don't get to do whatever I want whenever I want. I want to be a good mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also got Luke here, who I love, but I'm not loving his actions all of the time right now.
He feels like the big bad wolf. He's like looming and licking his chops constantly. Yeah. And it's like, does the guy master?
Babe, I was hoping you came home drunk so we could have
sex.
I
literally, it triggered me. Luke triggered this season. Luke is, I've been triggered by Jack's rage and like how disgusted I am by him, but I've never like related to a character, like a situation. And I was in a relationship where I was not connecting with that partner and they didn't care about that. They kept pressing and I didn't even have a child. I can't imagine being Kristen with a newborn baby and having this man hoping I get drunk, hoping that we can ship the newborn 3 months in, ship the newborn to one of their friends' houses so they can hook up. Like, it just lays in the crib, dude. It's not the fact that the child's there. There's so many other factors going on.
Well, and we talked about on one of recent Vanderpump Rob's issues, I don't think these people, and I don't think a lot of people, are honest with themselves on how much sex they have after a couple glasses of wine, let's say, right? Like, and I think this is a big thing. Not every intoxicated tryst is the most extreme situation. I'm not saying that, but I do think there is a standard that is going away now, but of like, we'll go out on the town, we'll have some cocktails, then we'll come home and we'll be romantic, right? And right now, that's not happening. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not going out. They're not lowering their inhibitions by any means, really. They're not smoking pot around their kid. They're not, you know what I mean? They're not doing these things that maybe is just what they're used to doing, right? Not that they need it or have to do anything. And so they're actually, what we're not seeing on the show, which I hope we do later, is the actual intimacy discussions that need to happen.
I don't think they've ever done that. I don't think Kristen Doute or Luke, starting off by hooking up like beside a church at a wedding, like I think Kristen wanted the baby and Luke looked like a great blue collar partner who wasn't going to cheat on her. And so they kept pushing, and now they've done this thing. And people might be angry at this, but I don't think that Kristen and Doute are going to last, or Kristen and Luke are going to last. I think she's going to hate him. She's going to watch this season back and it's going to be really hard for her to unsee what she sees. And she has the ick. And like, if he doesn't redeem himself quickly, she should have just did what Lala did and went to the sperm bank. And I think I can literally see Kristen saying that in like 1 or 2 seasons. Like I can see her saying, I should have just did what you did, Lala. I can watch. It's going to happen.
And that's when Luke will move back to Martinsville, Indiana or whatever.
Yeah. No, it's just like, it doesn't feel, it'd be one thing if it was like one discussion and like you could see the storyline was kind of being salt and peppered in, like this young couple's having a hard time reconnecting. But it's like every episode he gets worse and he says something worse and does something worse. Like, Brittany, don't let her come back sober. And Brittany's like, I won't, I'm her friend. And I'm like, what?
Okay.
What?
There's 2 things that you've just brought up that I want to talk about. One involving Lala and how I am so fearful that Ocean is going to just see how much
she prefers Sosa.
She prefers Sosa because she's tied to Randall. Because Ocean's tied to Randall, she's a lesser than Sosa.
Well, and Ocean can't be on TV.
Yes,
that's why she wants Sosa.
Because of that, she doesn't talk about Ocean because of these legalities, which will just implant, whether or not it's your intent, Lala, it's just going to implant in your child when she sees a public thing about her. Home life could be completely different, But the public thing is Sosa gets talked about, Ocean doesn't.
Right.
So that's depressing. Also, in a not depressing but silly side of things, what the fuck is up with Brittany's accent? Zach doesn't have that accent. Brittany's boyfriend at the moment does not have that accent. Why is Brittany sounding like Foghorn Leghorn?
Do you want to know?
Yes.
Brittany sounds like Foghorn Leghorn. Well, one, her mother does sound pretty sloppy. Like the accent's pretty sloppy with her
That
mom.
is true. Her mom just like, what are they calling you, homosexual?
So I do
for?"
have a little suspicion that like maybe Brittany's family was a little bit more hillbilly. But
maybe a little bit from the hills.
But
Okay.
I truly believe when she came onto the scene in Vanderpump Rules as a hot Hooters girl that was now dating Jax Taylor, an ex-boyfriend and ex-lover of a few of the cast members at the time. She had to, she wanted to be liked and she wanted to be embraced on the show. So she had to create and present a character that wasn't intimidating. And to give them a cute country twang worked. And so she has kept that because people thought it was charming and chuckled with it early on. She's kept it
But that's
and
not
and
what she
kept
sounded
enhancing
like
it. I
early
know,
on.
but it's like this is like 15
like a
years
snowball.
later. So it's like it's not as pure and grounded as it might have been when it started. Now it's become this thing where it sounds like she's got stuff in the back of her cheeks. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and she has stuff in the back of her cheeks.
And she does.
So.
Maybe it's the
Yeah.
stuff.
It's the stuff, not the substance.
But I think it was,
the
I
stuff.
truly think it was like a way of being not intimidating to the group and being accepted by the group. It's like a charming accent. We all know people love accents. So I know it's not British, but it's something. And maybe it's less intimidating because it's like country.
And that's what's going to lead to her villain edit this season.
Let's talk about Brittany needing a villain edit. I really, really started to see the hint of it.
She's a villain. Always has been.
When, at the end of last season, everyone watching the show was talking about a friend to all is a friend to none. And we kick off this season with Brittany inviting arch rivals nemesis Kristen Doute and Janet to the same birthday party. And she is not honest to either woman about either woman coming. She tells Doute, and we see it in a confessional, she tells Doute there's a 90% chance Janet's not even going to come. And then she tells Janet that like Kristen's calmed down, she's so chill with the baby, like she might not even stay that long. And I'm like, Rob, is Brittany smart and producing this show? Or is Brittany so passive aggressive and afraid of anyone getting angry at her that she's just like lying to everybody?
Here's my thoughts. Brittany is a people pleaser. She's said this. That is not a good thing. You should be able to please people without having to please them when you don't want to. Right. She's been on TV, so she's trying to play producer in the fact, but she's masquerading it as I'm a good friend. All they need to do is get in the same room and they'll have that coffee like Lala and Sheena. But she's doing that by way of lying to both of these people, which is going to piss them off.
Right.
And so that means she's trying to control the situation, which is also a problem. She's trying to play God. Not a good thing. That paired with, I know this is like what people say a lot, but she drinks a lot of shots.
A lot of shots.
And shots, she said it on Vanderpump Rules, like, it's because I don't like alcohol, I don't like wine, I just take the shot. Because her idea, and I'm separating this from the fact that I am a sober man, right? Like, I am not trying to analyze her.
Okay.
This is not what I'm doing. But from watching the show, she has said she doesn't like wine. She doesn't like the taste of alcohol. The reason she takes shots is because it gets it done faster, right?
Right, gets it done.
So her intent is to get intoxicated. She doesn't want to have the cocktail. She wants to get drunk.
Right. She wants to
which is that's fine. If that's what I mean, at the end of the day, if you can handle yourself, that's fine. But I'm saying that paired with trying to control her friends, trying to people please everyone, putting up blinders, a friend to all is a friend to none. Like these are patterns of behavior of someone who is, in my mind, avoiding something bigger, which is essentially facing the tough decisions that, like, maybe two of your friends won't be friends, or maybe you're not telling something that you want to tell someone because you're afraid of how they're going to react to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just going to cause more and more problems. It's going to snowball like her accent is snowballed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's only a matter of time before the game of telephone comes around to be like, oh, Brittany's been saying that? Well, she said this to me. And then everyone's going to get together and Brittany's going to get up on her heels and be defensive. And my theory is, and I don't want this to be true,
Okay.
except I really want to see it on TV.
Oh my God, what is it?
They're gonna call Brittany on her behaviors. She's gonna get defensive and run back to Jax for backup. And Jax, this is what we talked about earlier, is going to have been working on himself, going to be attempting to be better, see the error of his ways.
He's a human
at least on
tomato.
the
He's a
screen.
human tomato. Okay. His blood valves are going to explode. I don't think it was crazy.
And he's going to apologize to Brittany. He's going to apologize to Brittany.
And he's good at that.
Or whether he means it or not.
He's good at it.
He's good at it. And they are going to team up, forgive each other, try and move forward and let everyone know that they're doing better as an evil duo.
No.
To not take accountability.
No,
for
we can't.
The bad things both of them have done.
I just can't.
I don't want that to be the case in real life.
I hope.
But I would love to see it on TV.
You're right. I just feel like as long as Zach is in Brittany's life, that could never happen. Zach would have to.
I think Zach's going to be part of the crew that's going to put
Brittany.
the puzzle pieces together.
I agree, because there's a side of this part. Of the two parties, there's one party that is going to find the line with Brittany and realize that she's not bringing anything to the table and that they are good friends and they have a lot to offer. You see those examples last season with, Zach helping Brittany like throw her back in the water shark party or whatever that was. Like you see the Nia and Kristen Doute coming and helping throw things to celebrate Brittany. Michelle and Janet aren't throwing anything for Brittany. I firmly believe that Janet has so much on Brittany and Jax. It makes Janet very comfortable texting Brittany those messages we saw on the screen when they're talking about how angry Janet was when she had to leave the party and how her kid was crying and all this. And then they showed all the text messages that she sent Brittany. I think Janet sways her power at Brittany because Janet knows a lot. And then we see it again when they meet for this girls' lunch. And Janet all of a sudden like gets some momentum and feels comfortable sharing her experience at the barbecue and like being like, Brittany, and then Lala's like, Brittany, why didn't you step in? And Janet then goes on and on about how uncomfortable it made her, how her kid kept crying and he just wanted to play with Cruz. Of all the people there, not the pool, he wanted to play with Cruz. And by saying something, bringing in Cruz's name, making Brittany feel more guilty. It was very manipulative seeing how Janet played that at the lunch. And I watched it back and I was like, everything she's saying, bringing up Cruz when she brings up Cruz, like all that stuff feels very manipulative and intentional.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that here's the other thing. You teach people how to communicate with you. Mm-hmm. And if Brittany has allowed this through Janet, that might also mean that Janet has allowed a rage text from Brittany. I think that you're also right that, Janet is most like, she sees the weakness in Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
and that Brittany cannot stand up for a powerful person in that way. I mean, like, unfortunately, she was with Jax for many years. Like, that will wear you down, being with a monster. And
Yeah, no,
I guess I just agree.
I just think Brittany has no backbone at all, and she has a tendency to attract people that want to, or maybe they don't want to, but maybe they end up inherently doing it because Brittany doesn't take sides and have opinions, speak strongly to her and tell her what to do. Zach does it. I mean, we agree with what Zach's saying, but Zach does it. Kristen does it. Jax does it. They're all different levels of horrible, but like the way that they all speak to Brittany is very like telling her what they think and what she should do. And then like even this Brandon guy who in one episode feels comfortable getting in the mix of the drama with the other. If I was bringing a new partner into my friend group, even if I don't know what it'd be like if I was on a reality show because I haven't been, but if I was bringing a new partner into a friend group and there was drama, I can't imagine a world where that new partner would be like sharing their opinion and getting in the mix of it. That was so weird.
I loved it.
I did love it because they were all watching a TV show.
But it was very weird that it's like, you've been here for a day.
Yeah. I loved it because we're watching the show. But I mean, like in real life, it doesn't feel like a real good motivated person.
Well, and I do think it's important to note that Brandon and Jasmine are the only people of color on the show. And he's got Jasmine's back. And I think that's important because Lala saw a crack and wanted to exploit that crack real quick. And he's just like, I don't know. I think Jasmine is cool. I like her.
I did like when he did that. He's like, no, I don't think Jasmine meant it like that. She's good. I like her.
Yeah. But he wants to be on the show. And
Jason is a person of color on the show too. Don't forget Jason exists.
Oh, that's true. I just mean like Jason's not on this season. He's been on this.
Yeah, he did the one scene with.
He's not in the mix.
No,
right
he's not
now.
in the mix,
But
as
yes,
Carl
right.
Radke would say.
Yeah. Which.
What?
I'm not going to get off on Carl.
You can go on Carl. This is Bravoholics Anonymous. We talk about all Bravo, baby.
I posted something on Threads the other day where I just said like, people are acting like Carl was ever not a mess, and he's always been a mess.
They have forgotten so quick. They have forgotten so quick. Can I make another?
Well, let me just say real quick. Someone responded to be like, well, he hasn't been a mess ever since he got sober, which more people on Bravo should think about doing.
No.
This person, not even realizing that they're posting to a sober person because they obviously don't listen to my show, but also
please don't get sober.
The fact that I had to remind her, I was just like, this is a meme from 10 days ago. So the Carl's a mess thing happened post sobriety. So everything being goes back to what we're saying. It's like people are just out here posting things.
I literally think it's just a deep yearning for community. And I think that these people just need somewhere to belong. So they want to have an opinion and have a take on something. And it's just like, thank God they don't all have podcasts too, because where would we be? But first, I don't want everyone to get sober in reality TV. I think it makes great TV. And so if they're opting in, and when they do find sobriety, I support them. But until then, I welcome the messy sauciness. 2,
and when they find that sobriety, time to get off TV.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lala, you too.
Yeah, bye, Lala. You don't leave the house and you're boring. Bye-bye. No, but I also kind of think that Carl is the worst. I think he's worse than West Wilson.
Yeah.
Because he was engaged to someone and couldn't speak to her honestly. So he called in a camera crew and then gaslit her during the breakup. She's like, is this a breakup? He's like, it's not a breakup. And he gaslit Lindsay through the whole breakup on TV. It was disgusting. And it's like, at least West didn't, I know he did do an article with the New York Times, and it was kind of, I read the article, and it wasn't like he was just slandering Sierra, but
Sure.
I also am like, Sierra opted into a lot of this stuff, and yes, Sierra did say she wants someone to date her intentionally, but then she accepted his actions, and then then they broke up, and a couple of years went by, and now he's hooking up with someone else on a show. It's not unheard of, but at least he didn't call in a camera crew and dump Sierra in front of the camera crew in the off season. And then while he's dumping her, tell her it's not a breakup. Like, that was wild to me. That Carl did that. And he was sober when he did it. Thank you.
Yeah. It's insane. Carl also, like, maybe I'm just a little parasocial with it because I'm a sober person and have had a brother who died.
Oh,
but
you're
also,
close
like,
to Carl.
Yeah, I know Carl. Carl, it's your responsibility to tell people what you want to do on the anniversary of a loved one's death.
Yes.
It's been 4 years.
5.
I'm sure it sucks. It's been 5 years now. I'm sure it sucks. But if someone doesn't text you, hey, thinking about you, buddy, that's because you've, like, taught them it doesn't matter anymore. Or not that it doesn't matter, but that it, like,
the friendship isn't active like that at the moment.
It's not active, right? Like, Kyle posted about Lindsay's birthday because he knows that Lindsay will be like, you didn't post about me on your birthday,
Yes.
you know? He knows that she needs that, and that shows their relationship.
Right.
Carl's a mess.
Carl
He's
is a mess. And the fact that he, not only after he talked to Kyle about it, which I thought was a really great conversation, I thought he was telling Kyle how he felt. But after that, when he was like, no, I just want to tell him he's an asshole. And I'm like, wait, what?
No, Carl's mad in that situation because, and this is me putting on my, if I were in his shoes.
Good.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
So
you're the
who
closest
knows?
thing I
Who
have to
knows?
Carl at this point.
Yeah. He told Kyle how he felt, and Kyle gave him a full-throated apology.
Yeah.
What else do you want, right? So what I think Carl's actively angry at here is he didn't get money from Kyle, and he doesn't have anything to feel superior or lord over Kyle anymore, because that's what works on the TV, is like being able to still be holier than thou and also getting money. But sorry, you ain't getting a dime out of Kyle right now.
He doesn't have any dimes.
What you said you wanted was acknowledgement and an apology, and he gave you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you...
It's either that or he hasn't healed from the sense that, like, he needs to feel like there is a combustion to feel closer to people. Like, I know people that want that actually giving them a grounded apology, hearing them and giving it to them easily. Like Kyle's been apologizing to everyone for like 8 years. So of course he's going to apologize to Carl the moment Carl asks for an apology. He's got a lot, everyone, he's from Kyle's perspective. I've got so much going on. I'm trying to save my marriage. I've got this struggling business. I'm so sorry. I forgot, like, blah, blah, blah. That was almost too easy for him. And Carl wants him to hurt more because Carl hurts.
Yes.
And so because Kyle didn't cry or scream about it, it wasn't good enough. And now we're going to see Carl push Kyle further.
Yeah, wasn't there some sort of scene we saw in a preview?
Yeah, at they've been teasing it the whole season that they're going to get into some screaming fight together. And I'm like, this is what Carl wants. Carl's going to keep pushing so that he can get this reaction out of Kyle. So then he can be like, Kyle, now you get it. Now you're sorry. Okay, I accept. We can be friends again. Yeah. Like, it's so toxic and it's great for TV. So I'm here for it.
Yes, of course. Let's bring it on.
Okay, so we've talked about Brittany and Brandon. I'm pretty sure their relationship's already over.
Yes, it is.
We've talked about Schwartz and Lala. We did see Schwartz and Michelle go on like a date. That was, I mean, whatever. That was for cameras and weird. But I kind of think, like, outside of all this, if Schwartz dated women of his own age, I could see them having a lot of chemistry together because even though Michelle's really boring, she does get into the woo-woo a little bit. She had that magic rock party at Yamashiro last year.
She used to party in Tijuana.
And she has a party
Give me
history. Welcome back. Rob, I want to hear your thoughts about Tom Schwartz and Michelle's date in the salt sauna.
Well, none of us believe it's an actual date, and I think that they know that too.
Right.
Michelle points it out. So it's not like they're trying to like pull the wool over our eyes, but it is one of those situations where why is Zach filming with Jesse? Why is Zach filming with Danny? Why is Schwartz filming with Michelle? Because we have to.
Yeah.
We have to give people
Yes.
scenes.
Yeah.
You know? I love that the blankets they put on them were like the Costco Eddie Bauer blankets that were on sale.
It's so Valley. It's so
Ones,
Valley.
You know, it makes so much sense. That Himalayan salt lamp establishment no longer exists, if you can believe it.
I'm not surprised. The only one I know that's like lasted is in like Santa Barbara.
Yeah, and that would make sense. So that Rob Lowe can go there with Katy Perry and
exactly
fund the place for 3 years from one visit. But I think that I enjoyed them communicating with one another. It felt the most genuine or authentic, and I know that word gets thrown out a lot because they know that there's no BS. Like Schwartz knows that him and Michelle ain't getting together.
Yeah,
Michelle's
she's too
like,
old for
no
him. She's too old for him.
Yeah, well.
And she's got a
like,
kid. That's scary for Schwartz. Schwartz actually can't handle any commitment like that. So it's a joke that he keeps talking about wanting to have a kid with someone. I'm like,
oh yeah.
You know, I think that's crazy. But what I do like about them and what I do like about some of these offbeat pairings that we didn't anticipate seeing is that I think Schwartz gives Michelle a little confidence that we haven't seen on camera. And if he can be there to take the robot away and bring out some human in Michelle and have her, you know, open up about stuff or whatever, just make her seem like a hot human. We need hot humans, you know? If we could have Schwartz act as that tool for Michelle and get Michelle to a place where she's going to come to blows with Lacey on camera or something, you know, that I'm here for it. I think that's a great idea.
One thing that I was very like, I don't want to be like, I always try to not be like white knighty to the point where I'm being like virtue signaling
not to be
about this sort of stuff.
Pilot Pete on Traders.
Yeah. Can't be Pilot Pete here. But I found it so off-putting when we get one of the first confessionals with Lacey, and we haven't heard producer Jerry at all. Not much in the confessionals this season. We've heard him talk to people in previous seasons, but we really haven't heard him. And this, you know, this goes back to the second episode when this happened. And he's talking to Lacey. We're learning about Lacey, which I think it's fine to do. We need to know her backstory. And he's like, so you made off pretty well in your divorce, huh? Essentially pointing out that, yeah, it might be true. The reason she's wealthy might be because she didn't have a prenup with her previous husband. That's fine. I think we talked about this in my episode too. It can be kind of annoying to like hear the rhetoric of like, yeah, you go girl, get that paycheck, whatever. Even if that is fine, that just shouldn't be like it's very right? Like get
your car.
You can.
Yeah,
but because that doesn't define anyone, right? It can be something that happened in your life, but that shouldn't define you. And I think by Jerry actively pointing this out in the first confessional we get with Lacey, it came off very misogynistic to me. to the point where he's just like, well, we need to point out that Lacey's a villain and she steals men's money and divorces.
And then includes in the edit Michelle going to Lacey and saying that she's not getting anything in the divorce and just wants Jesse to sign the papers in the same episode.
Exactly. Yep. And I think that's on purpose. And I think that they'll lie to themselves that it is, you know, clever, not clever, whatever. But it is, I think that shows you the sort of producer Jerry is. And that's all I need to know, paired with all of the seasons of Vanderpump Rules that he produced.
I thought it was...
And all of the men being protected and the women villains.
I think it's really interesting because in this episode that we're talking about with Lacey and Michelle, we get the first inkling of Michelle's insecurity after being on the show for 3 seasons. And last season, she took a lot of heat online. She was not liked. Everyone called her a robot or an alien. Watch what Crappens had a great voice
I wasn't
for
sure
her.
why she was on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She didn't bring much. She was going through a lot with her mom or whatever the reasons and excuses are. It didn't register in the edit and on camera. And so she took a lot of heat for it. And on the contrary, Jesse did take heat, you know, at the racing Santa Barbara weekend from Janet, but then also like had this great character arc and like was edited into this like lovable guy that he's finding his own way through it, but he's trying to do the work and be there for his kid. And like Jesse got a great edit. So Michelle coming onto this episode and in confessionals being like, I see what Lacey's doing. She wants everyone to like her, was really telling about how Michelle's processed like her experience on the show. And now what her fear with Lacey is that she comes on and now she's hanging out the same parties as her and all of her friends like her more than Michelle. And what I want to remind other women out there who might be feeling this way is that it's like not a competition. You can be friends with Lacey too.
Yep.
You can decide you like Lacey or not like Lacey, but like your friends aren't going to like you less by liking Lacey.
Yep. I think that's such a good
It's
point.
really interesting and fun to watch. And I just like, I don't want to see the 2 women fighting. I'm actually not even interested in that. I'm not interested in seeing Lacey and Michelle fight. I don't think it's going to be, I think Michelle thinks we want that. I don't want that. But I would love to see them come together in a weird American family hybrid way that Jesse keeps pitching, that he wants them all to be at Thanksgiving together. Like, I think that's an interesting spin.
When he says Modern Family, do you think he means just the phrase Modern Family or the TV show Modern Family?
I think he means he wants to be the TV show Modern Family. And what I think about is that Nene Leakes show that was actually kind of more of a Modern Family with like a gay couple and Nene Leakes and like a kid. I don't even remember what that show was.
Yeah.
It was like,
I don't remember this, but yes, I believe you.
I think that's what I picture when he says it. It's different from what he pictures, but I don't know. I feel like the men this season have a lot of opportunity now that Jax is gone. And I feel like, you know, they can't control the edit that comes out, but Luke, Danny, Jesse, and Zach have, I keep forgetting Jason because he's just irrelevant at this point. He's an extension of Janet. He's not even a normal human. And unless Jason and Janet have some great hard conversations on camera, I don't think that they're going to last here.
Yeah, I am not sure. Look, we're 3 episodes in.
It's too early to say.
But if a couple's getting booted, it is either Janet and Jason or Danny and Nia.
Oh, Danny and Nia. I think they would quit. I don't think they'd get booted. I think they would be like...
Well, sure. That's what I mean.
But can they quit? They have a
sure.
5-bedroom house now. I know it's in Santa Clarita, but those are still multi-million-dollar homes. How much work is Danny getting with the VO? Like, can he still pay for this stuff?
But was he in royalty era where royalties mattered?
He was in royalty era, but I just don't know if his stuff is getting the same turnaround as other stuff, you know? And I also, for Nia's sake, I want them to stay on the show because I do want her to have her own income. I do worry about the future. And I do want her to have a sense of income and not be stuck in Santa Clarita with no income. So I don't think Danny and Nia are going to go anywhere, but I think that they might have to have a Mary Cosby season where the producers are like, if you want to come back on the show, you got to be involved in the show, Mary. And then Nia, has to accept it and jump into the messy sauce. They have to come off the high horse a little bit because nobody's perfect, but I do love, there's something as shitty as Danny's actions are, and as much as Nia cops out, I still love Nia. Am I just a victim of her beauty?
Yeah. I don't know about that, but I think it's tough because everything you said is valid, but they just seem so phony to me. And everyone's phony on a different level. They seem phony as if they're trying to be the good couple, like good boy, good girl, when that's just not possible being on a Bravo show.
But maybe we just haven't seen it before. They started bringing in the Christian stuff this season. They talked about where did you meet her? And he was queued up with the question, and he talked about church and being a man that loves to serve God. And there are just so many people in this country and watching this show that are like this. Like maybe they aren't facing the real hard truths of what's going on. I think what's going to happen is they're going to have to actually start talking about real shit. And if they don't, they'll be gone.
Yeah, I think that's...
And it would be a great storyline for them to be like, listen, we want to hide behind our busy, perfect little family, but there's some real demons that we're facing, and these are them. That would be juicy. Because she did go to Alkanon. Like, Janet outed Nia for going to Alkanon.
Yeah, that was nasty.
And then they changed the edit from the East Coast to the West Coast in that night.
Oh shit!
I remember it, and then Andy asked her about it on Watch What Happens, and then the version after that doesn't have that scene anymore. They edited it out. So I wonder if that's going to come back up and like why Nia did that, went to the meeting and stuff, because I know it's Anon and you're not supposed to know, but Janet already outed it, so now. Maybe we talk about it to save their job. Maybe we don't. Maybe they just go raise their perfect little family. Sorry. Oh my God. Maybe my roommate's moving around. Maybe it's something alarm. But maybe that comes up and saves their job. I don't know. Maybe they just go raise their family in Santa Clarita and they be happy and go to church.
I would hope so. That's what we really need.
There was a family that came into the party at Lala's house that they were a couple of color, and they had a young baby that was the same age as all these babies. And I'm like, who's this couple friend? Why aren't they on the show? Yeah, they probably don't want to be.
I didn't see them.
No, they probably didn't want to be, but I saw them and I was like, who's that? Because I know they're friends with other people too.
Are they though? They're not just friends with these 6 people.
Do you ever listen to Tom Schwartz's podcast?
Good.
Do you ever listen to Tom Schwartz?
Hell no.
You've never listened.
Can't. I've seen clips. I just can't.
I've listened to some episodes, and it is just, he literally goes into like the loudest bar. He'll literally go into a loud bar with a little mic and do his podcast. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad for the person editing this. It's a mess.
Oh my God. Well,
he recently had this guy on.
I would almost love it because you're just like, this guy doesn't give a
know.
Shit.
He's used to everyone doing everything for him his entire life. He literally had this guy on that invented the speaker that clips onto plants and plays music.
Oh, Tom Schwartz definitely believes the quote documentary, What the Bleep Do We Know? Like, he thinks that's like a real thing.
Okay, before we wrap it up today, I've got a few rapid fire questions for you, okay?
Bring
Get ready,
on.
Rob. Lala and the lifeguard, yay or nay?
Nay.
Lala and Schwartz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Schwartz and Michelle, yay or nay?
Nay.
Lala and Michelle, yay or nay?
Nay.
Janet and Jason, yay or nay?
Yay!
Danny and Nia, yay or nay?
Nay.
That's all I got. That was it. That was
Excellent.
good. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been great. And we'll have to come back once the season's ended to see where we were like royally off on.
Yeah, I know. I feel like of all the couples that are currently on the show, I'm most worried about Kristen and Luke not making it. Because this is the pivotal time when like the man is most likely to cheat. I feel like he keeps using the word intimacy as if sex is like the only form of intimacy in a relationship. And I just don't know if the two of them have the skills to get through this. They might bury it and have another kid, but I don't know if they have the skills to like actually make a relationship work long term.
I don't know if I don't see them being together long term.
No.
I don't know if Kristen could ever have a second child at this point.
She is late. She's late for everything this season so far. She can barely keep her shirt on. She's like falling apart. Her getting the baby out of the car. I know that Nia's very well practiced. So next to Nia meeting at lunch, it looks hard to do, but like, I don't know. It's so hard for Kristen to do this right now.
Yeah. No, thank you. She can't.
Well, Bravoholics, that's our meeting for today. A huge thank you to Vanderpump Rob for joining me to break down all the chaos, the couples therapy, the passive aggression, and the beautifully messy behavior that the Valley has delivered us these first 3 weeks. If you had a Bravo moment or a hell no moment, or witnessed some straight up suburban demonic behavior, come talk to us online on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow Rob. I'm going to post all his shit below. If you're watching on YouTube right now, which I hope you are, this entire time his username has been below him. So you can find him there and you can listen to all the good stuff. He's covering the Valley weekly. What else are you covering right now, Rob?
Summer House, and then we'll cover In the City, The Summer I Turned Pretty as well. And on Patreon right now, it's Southern Hospitality.
Fantastic. The show everyone's talking about. Finally hitting their stride. I love it.
It's my favorite.
And as always, keep your champagne cold and your taglines iconic. We'll see you next week.